Alright, so let's start looking at an example to more of the problems that we'll be doing. Okay, you're still going to incorporate that first section, but you're going to need to do much more to it. Okay, so identify the conic and write the equation in standard form and graph. We're going to do both those things. So right away, the easiest thing to do first is identify what kind of conic you're dealing with. What is this?
Hyperbola?
Okay. Is it a hyperbola?
No.
No. An ellipse. Why?
Because if you
Are the same value but they're not?
Same sign. If you get them on the same side of the equal sign, they'd have both the same positive value.
Okay. So it's an ellipse because if you put them on the same side of the equal sign,
they have the same sign.
they're going to have the same sign. Okay, but they're not going to be equal. Now, it's important that you understand that every form that we have, whether it's circle, whether it's hyperbola, ellipse, parabola, all those are all on the same side of the equal sign. Some of them are set equal to 0, some of them are set equal to 1, and some of them are set equal to a radius, right? A radius squared. But all of them are on the same side. So I need to put this on the same side, so then that makes this an ellipse, right? That's important to know because now, if I know this is an ellipse, what form am I dealing with?
The ones on that paper.
Okay, I need you to tell me.
X minus h squared over a squared.
So x minus h squared over a squared. Ellipse, is it minus?
No.
Plus.
Plus? Y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Okay? So ultimately, this is the form that I need to get it into. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead. Don't start doing that. Okay? So let's go ahead and start to work this out. Well, we're going to go ahead and put that negative 4x squared on the other side. So it's going to end up being 4x squared plus y squared equals 36. Okay? Now, what is it supposed to equal?
0, 1. Well, the top one's 1.
Okay, if you look at this, it's supposed to equal 1. Okay? So, if it's supposed to equal 1, what am I going to do to make it equal 1? No.
Divide by 35.
No. Divide by 36. So divide everything by 36. Okay? What does that leave me with? Well, let me make this note real quick. Let me make this quick note. Notice, is there another form of this? What's the other form?
X
It's x minus. No. I don't remember.
X plus k squared.
You know what might be helpful is if you take out that note. I mean, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the answers. That defeats the purpose of teaching. Okay?
Mine's at my house.
Y minus k squared over a squared plus x minus h squared.
Okay, so how do I know this one's right? So he basically said the other one is y minus k squared over a squared and x minus h squared over b squared. How do I know this is right?
Because the x value is greater.
A squared is.
But how do I know it's right now? Before I get here,
Is A and
how do I know this is the right form?
Because of the plus in the middle.
No. I'm sorry, what?
I was just describing what the is an ellipse and that.
Well, either form is an ellipse. My point, what I'm asking you is how do I know the x goes over the a in this particular? Why did I use this equation and not the other equation?
Oh,
There is no way. I mean, that's the bottom line. You guys are trying to guess and thinking. You can't figure it out. You have to finish working it out. There's nothing that tells me this is right or wrong. I'm just starting with one point. I'm telling you that now because what's going to happen is you're going to get to your homework and say, well, I didn't know which one is which. Which one do I use? But you start with this one. The A value is always which one? the larger one. So the A value is going to work itself out, and it's going to go where it needs to go. So, okay, so we're going to have x squared over 9 plus y squared over 36 equals 1. So now, do I know, am I in the right form? No. So really, it should have been the other way. Do I have to do anything to change that? No, I can rewrite it, right? I can arrange it. So I could do y squared
So
over...
you're saying that 36 needs to be the first one?
Because the a square's got to, because the a square's got to be bigger.
Yeah, so what is my a squared? 36. So technically I could rewrite this. Ultimately, or mathematically, it doesn't matter because of what?
The plus.
Because of the plus. I can rewrite it in any order I want. But based on our chart, and based on the proper form, I want to put it with the y squared over 36 because now it helps me remember that this is my a squared. And this is my b squared. So essentially I started with this one, which ended up being wrong. But it didn't really have any factor or impact. You can start with any one. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because so often students will say, well, how do I know which one do I start with? You just start with one, it'll work itself out. Okay? So now I've got my equation that I'm going to use to graph. Now I need to figure out what information I need. So what information do I need?
Center.
I need center, so that means I need h. What is h?
0.
I need k. What is k? So the center is 0, 0. What else do I need? Say again?
Direction.
A. What is A? 6. And B is 3. Now with that information I should be able to graph everything. If not, and at least enough to graph, get my ellipse on the paper. Okay, so the center you said already is at 0, 0. What does the A value tell us?
The length
It's
of
the length of the major axis.
Okay, it's not actually the length of the major axis because what's the length of the major axis?
2A.
2A. What is our major axis?
Up and down.
Okay, why is that?
Because it's the y first.
Yeah, because the y is first now. See, notice how she said because the y is first. So rearranging this helps her remember the y is first. Rather than, you could have looked at this and say, well, my major axis is y because the number's bigger on the bottom, right? So my major axis is the vertical axis. So my A value means I can count, basically, from here up how many units? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Because that's only half of my ellipse. So I'm going to go up to 6. And then I'm also going to do what?
Count down 6.
Count down 6. Okay? And that's based on the fact that my major axis A is 6. Or, sorry, 2 times 6, or 12 units. Okay, what does the B tell us?
The minor.
The minor axis. So from the center, I'm going to count what? 3 over, both ways, right? And from this, can I draw my ellipse? Yeah, and it's just going to be it's going to be an ugly sketch, but
That actually wasn't. That wasn't bad.
okay. But I'm just saying, in general, it's not going to be great, but it's going to be better than putting a center dot on there and then you drawing some ellipse with no points. You need to have some points to draw your ellipse. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. All right. Any other questions on this? Okay. Let's look at our next example. Here we have y plus 4 equals x minus 2 squared. So what do we have? How do we know we have a parabola?
Because there's only one square term.
There's only one squared term. So we do have a parabola. Okay. What's the form of our parabola?
Y equals A, x minus A.
How do I know it's y equals?
You don't. Not yet. Wait. Yes, you do because it's x minus 2 squared.
Yeah, because in this case, because there's two forms, right, for everything, or except for the circle. There's two forms for everything. And in this case, I know it's my y equals because my x is the square term. Or my x is in the parentheses, however you want to look at it. So it's y equals, like she was saying, a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in the form. That's pretty simple. All I have to do is do y equals. Okay,
x minus 2 squared minus 4, right? I just subtracted 4 from both sides. That's pretty simple. So there's my form. Now I need a graph. So dealing with the parabola, what are my important facts or informations? Vertex is what? Okay, what do I need for my vertex? Vertex is h and k. So in this case it is 2 and negative 4. What else do I need?
Axis of symmetry.
Okay, axis of symmetry is going to help us. And how do I write that? X equals h or x equals 2. What else? For time purposes, I heard somebody say the focus. For time purposes, that will help us out, but it's going to be a challenge, to be honest with you. Okay?
We don't need it to graph it.
You really don't if you do this right. Because here's the deal with the focus. What's disconcerting about finding the focus?
Fraction.
It's a fraction, right? It's 1 over 4 times a. Not 1/4 a, but it's 1 over 4 times a. So that kind of makes it difficult. So we're not going to worry about that. Let's just start with this information and go from there. Now you can find the focus. You can find the directrix because those two things will help you gauge it. Huh? Find those things? Yeah, that's just plugging in h and k. You're not going to have a problem with that. That's not anything new. So let's go ahead and graph this. So the vertex is at 2 and negative 4. So we go over 2 and down 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you said your axis of symmetry is x equals 2. So essentially it's right here. Now again, I could find the directrix and the focus. And I'm going to tell you right now, both of those are on very, they're fractions. So they're not in a good spot. But the next thing I can do is I can go ahead and make a t-table. You need to have your vertex first so you can kind of get a gauge of how much graph you're using. But I'm going to go ahead and make a t-table. And I'm going to start like every other person and start with 0. If x is 0, that means I have 0 minus 2 is what? Negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So if x is 0, y is 0. So I can put a point on my origin. And the cool thing about that is because I have my axis of symmetry, I can do what now? I can go to the other side. So 1, 2 units from my axis of symmetry, go 2 units the other way, and there it is I have there. Okay, I can put another point on there. Let's pick 1. So I have 1. 1 minus 2 is? Negative 1. Negative 1 squared is? 1. 1 minus 4 is? So I have negative 3. So I can go over 1 and down negative 3. And then I can put it here across as well. So now I actually have stuff that will allow me to draw a decent parabola. Otherwise, my focus, just to kind of give you some heads up, because we skipped this part, my focus was like right here. I'm sorry, my focus was right here. Then I could have found the LR, which would have put points right here and here. And all I would have had was a little tiny section. So finding the focus doesn't save us any trouble because I don't want a little tiny section. Because you can't just, and I know this is what some of you like to do, you can't just say, okay, here's my vertex. I got my vertex, boom, boom. That's what it looks like, pretty sure. You can't do that. You've got to actually put points on there. If I wanted to, I could look for another point up in this section over here and just keep making it even more accurate. But for the notes purposes, we're good with those 5 points. Hey, any questions on that? All right. Let's look at our next example. Okay, x squared minus y squared plus 8x equals 20. What do we have there?
We have a hyperbola.
Okay, how do you know you have a hyperbola?
Because A and C have opposite sides.
Because A and C have opposite sides, right? Okay, now, what am I going to do? Okay, what is my hyperbola form?
X minus h squared over x squared minus
It's
y.
just the same thing with the ellipse. We're going to start off with that.
But minus, instead of plus, now we have minus, right? Equals 1, right?
On this, you would know which one goes where, wouldn't you? Because right?
Not necessarily. It's still based on the b squared. But a lot of times with a negative, you should be in good shape, yes. Okay? Now, here you go. First thing I want to do is what?
Complete the square for x.
Okay, yes. I want to complete the square. Even before that is put my terms in order, right? So x squared plus 8x. This will help me complete the square. So plus something minus y squared equals what? 20. I'm going to leave that over there for now, right? So if I complete the square, I'm going to have what? 16. If I add 16 here, I've got to add 16 here. So when I work that completed square out now, I'm going to break it down to what? X plus 4 squared minus y squared equals 36. But I need it to equal 1, right? So divide everything by 36. And there I have x plus 4 squared over 36 minus y squared over 36 equals 1. So there's my form. Now this is probably the more challenging graph for us, is graphing this hyperbola. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, hopefully you got this, I'm going to erase this part right here just to give me some more room to graph. Okay, what do I need to graph the hyperbola? Yes, which question?
Can you get 4 and 36 to find which is A and B? Can you make it x plus 1 squared over 9?
No, you can't. You can't reduce in the middle of a binomial. No, good thought. But no, you cannot pull this out to reduce this. No. So what's A and B?
6.
Yeah, A and B are both 6, right? Okay. X is going to be first, just like Brandon pointed out earlier, because you do have that negative that keeps you in your right order. Okay. And most of the time it's going to work out that way. You just have to be careful. All right. So they're both going to be 6. So we did find that information out. So A is 6. B is 6. Okay. What else do we need to know? Center or H. Okay. H is what? Negative 4. K is 0. That allows us to find our center at negative 4, 0. Okay, I'm going to plot that real quick. So negative 4 over, 0 up. Okay. Now, I could find a whole bunch of other stuff using all those little mini formulas, but I have A. What am I going to do with A and B?
Equation of asymptotes.
Okay, I don't need to. I could use that to find my equation of my asymptotes, but there's an easier way to do that. Okay, what am I going to do with A? What is A?
You're gonna find C.
Okay, I don't even need that right now. What is A?
You're in the middle, like that.
You don't have your notes, so you're like completely lost.
No, what do you mean? What notes?
What does A represent? Or more importantly, what? Transverse. Now we're dealing with the transverse, okay? So can I find my vertices? Where's the transverse going to go? Is it going to be vertical or horizontal? Vertical. Because why?
X is first.
Because X is first. Can I find my vertices? Yes. How far from the center is my vertices? Okay, how far? 6 units, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's one vertice, and the other one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
H
Well,
plus
if X
or
is
minus.
first, I thought it was horizontal. If X is first.
It is horizontal.
You just said vertical.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry. No, the transverse horizontal. My mistake. Thank you. It's horizontal. Excuse me. My mistake. I thought we were. As you can see, I plotted them horizontally. I was sorry. Yes. What was your question?
So those are the vertices, right?
Yes, these are the vertices. So essentially, my. Well, let me not do that. My parabolas are going to, or my hyperbola is going to go this way. What are you confused about?
Because isn't it H plus or minus A comma K?
Okay. Yes. She's wanting to use the mini formula. That's fine. Say she's saying, okay, the vertices are H plus or minus what? A, okay, comma K. So H plus A. What is H plus A?
2.
So negative 4 plus A is 2, comma, where's this point at? 2, 0. So instead of doing that formula, we just counted, right? So you could do it either way. Does everybody see that? Okay, I know some of you are so disengaged that you don't see anything, which is fine. You have a test on Friday, so anyhow, all right. So essentially, that's the way my parabolas are going to go, or my hyperbolas are going to go this way and this way. But I still need more than that. I can't just leave it like that. So I know right now that right here, that's my transverse, right? Now, my conjugate is where? From the center. 6 which direction? Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 down. So here's my transverse. My conjugate, right? What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make my box now. This is making your life easier with your asymptotes, okay? So I'm going to do this. From the box, I'm going to make a box. All right. Does everybody see that? So I just completed that box. Okay, I created that box, and what I'm going to do is my asymptotes are going to go basically from corner to corner. So, not great, but something like that. And something like that. So those are my asymptotes. Okay? What do I know about my parabola and those asymptotes?
They never touch each other.
They never touch each other, right? Just so we're clear. I keep saying parabola, my hyperbola. All right. Essentially, it's the same shape in this, well, sideways. All right. So now, if that's the case, then when I draw my hyperbola, all I have to do is go for my vertex and go as close as possible to my asymptotes.
Boom.
And then here's my other one. And then on the other side, here's my vertex. You can't see very much because of the work. Whoops. There you go. Whatever. Good enough. Okay, there's your hyperbola. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, sorry. All right, next. What? One more, sorry.
We call it a circle. Call it.
This is the easiest of all of them. Okay? Shh. This is the easiest of all of them. Okay? We have a circle. It's a process of elimination. But why else do we know we have a circle? Because the two square terms are the same coefficient. Hey, let's focus. Same coefficient, so A and C are equal. Okay, so how do I put this in the right form? Yeah, so, oops. So x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, what's the first thing I need to do with my actual...
Put them in order and complete the square.
Yeah, put them in order and complete the square. So x squared plus 4x plus blank plus y squared minus 6 blank. Okay, equals, okay, thank you, Aiden. Negative 4. Okay? I know. It was a joke. So what goes in the blank? Okay, so this is 4. If I add 4 there, I've got to add 4 here, right? And then 9 here. If I add 9 there, I've got to add 9 here. So then my equation, if I break this down, should be what? X plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 9. Okay, now, what's the only things I need to know in order to draw a circular graph? Okay, so the center is, so still center is HK and H is equal to
X which is equal to,
Okay.
yeah.
So center is still -2, 3, and my radius is 3. So all I have to do now is plot my point on -2 over, 3 up, which is here, and then I just got to go 3 down, 3 to the right, 3 up, 3 to the left.
Let's see how good your circle skills.
Not good. Nope, I can't do it. Won't work. Can't get it lined up. All right, so here's my circle.
Just draw the
That's decent.
Why didn't you just draw that in the first place?
I was just trying to see. I was just trying to see if I could use the tool. Okay. So there is. So there's the circle. Any questions on that? All right. Let me get you your homework.